Hey everyone, this is Tea and Politics with Maya. I'm Maya. This is a weekly podcast where we explore leadership, power, empowerment, the background stories of the EU bubble, and everything else that makes a good manager a good leader, and vice versa. So today, as part of our journey within the mind of leaders and of leadership, we have Svetoslava Stoyanova here with us. Hi, welcome.
Hello, Maya, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. So without any further ado, Svetoslava Stoyanova is a leadership, career and growth coach, speaker and partnership strategist, a certified solution-focused team coach accredited by the International Coaching Federation. This is so many complicated words that we'll dive in later on. So you also are an NLP and Positive Intelligence practitioner, and you accompany leaders through their journeys of when they're individuals, when they're in teams. You work with for-profit and non-for-profit organizations, and your impact is around Belgium, but also as Europe as a whole. While you go into topics such as coaching, mentorship, culture mapping, talent development, and project consulting. Wow.
That's me.
In short. Well, more or less, this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because I think that you dive into so many different angles of leaders, of organizational culture, of shaping both leaders and organizational culture, and trying to create bridges between all of those very complicated words. So let's start from the start. You have so many different hats. What are you taking from each of your different roles with you when you enter a new situation?
That's a great question to start, indeed. And
Thank you.
I would say that as every other human being under the sky, I, in a way, only connect the dots after some experience has taken place. So how do I implement all of me? I would say that my roles professionally, but in life as well, they are layers in a way of who am I as a person and as a professional. And that's why my service would be unique, but as much as unique would be the service of someone else coaching or consulting an organization or individual on their growth.
You know, that reminds me of a quote that I recently rediscovered, that in negotiations, there's two layers: who negotiates and what is negotiated. And if you change the negotiator, the whole negotiations may go in another direction and vice versa. So I'm interested to know a bit more. Maybe my first question is always, how did you end up here? Not in my living room recording a podcast, but rather in your role in Brussels. What is the professional steps, the path that you took that led you here?
From the very practical perspective of answering this question, my story probably is also very common for many other people landing up in Brussels. My husband actually got a job at the European institutions, so that's how I ended up here.
Out of love.
Out of love, literally, yes. Together with our children, we decided to come, all of us, for this initial 3 years mandate period, and then we decided to stay as we liked it. Apart from it, I recently reflected that my professional journey is in a way like parted into couple of 7 year swaths, if I can call them that way, and it was an interesting reflection thanks to a coaching conversation I had with a client. And I would say that like my career journey started at the age of 16, becoming reporter, intern in a local radio station in my hometown in Bulgaria, where I come from. Then these first 7 years followed practice and experience in broadcasting, overall communication, then slowly moving to public relations. And then at the age of around 25, I started actually my own business. I co-founded a small organization, book publishing and advertising publishing house, together with a partner, another female. And then for another 7 years, we run this business, but from business and nowadays startup perspective, it was in a way boring business story because we didn't go into any debt. We didn't go into any trouble. We just at some point...
You just had a business and it was functioning fine.
Exactly. But at some point, for some reason, exactly. It's not this heroic story of the startup which literally like suffered before some breakthrough or something. No, it was a business story in which I learned a lot about building relationships, building fruitful relationships, as I call them. And then this story, after having my twins, led me to becoming part of the team of Junior Achievement in Bulgaria, where I started as communications and sales director, but it was too boring as it sounds. So with the time, I actually proposed to my colleagues this intervention, let's call it. Everyone from the team was invited to, in a way, craft their own position, the way they feel they serve in the organization. And then, of course, we added also AKA, also known as, so people to know what domain they can...
What this imaginary description actually
exactly.
means in reality.
Yeah. So mine then happened to be, I call it that way, fruitful partnerships cultivator. And I would say that this is the thin red thread line that leads my whole career journey so far, because authentic and true relationships with people, and it doesn't mean friendships, it just means reliable, authentic relationships propelled by integrity, by just being there for the other person and for providing high quality job is what crafted my professional relationships. And of course, some of them happened to go into friendships, but it's never have been the goal. So, and then after Junior Achievement, actually, I had this amazing job. I had a lot of opportunities. I loved the team and being part of it. But this opportunity came in front of us as a family. So we moved to Brussels. And I already 2 years before was certified as a coach, went through a coaching program, again, thanks to Junior Achievement. So connecting the dots, things are connected indeed. But then here I just gave it a fresh start as a full-time job.
You committed fully to the coaching.
Yes, and then followed to the accreditation process, to different new learnings and so on and so forth. And
I wanna stop you for a second, and I wanna go a bit more into the Junior Achievement part, because and we'll go to the coaching part as another chapter of this conversation. But to me, Junior Achievement, it's always been externally this organization where you somehow combine, it's like the crossroad of education, for-profit organizations, non-for-profit organization, and somehow you people mix it up and you create something new, which is opportunity for young people to learn, opportunity to try things into like a safer zone, I would say. But to me, it's also a very good crossroads, if I can use this metaphor again, for the business to understand what the NGOs are doing and vice versa. Because I think that this is still, it's not a problem, but it's that there is this miscommunication. What's the difference between all of that? What's the specific of the business sector that the NGOs will never understand and vice versa? So let's go a bit there. Do you think that what you were doing somehow contributed to this miscommunication being less? What were you doing that you're very proud of when it comes to Junior Achievement?
I would say that Junior Achievement as a network and as a family of over 120 organizations around the globe is very much a model which is unique when we speak about non-profit organizations. And I wouldn't say at all, I mean, it's a non-profit organization, but I don't think that we ever communicated it purposefully that way. So Junior Achievement has always been, and this is my perspective, this is what I have seen in Junior Achievement in Bulgaria, but also my colleagues here in Junior Achievement Europe and worldwide. The network has very much business approach to what we do. And when I say business approach in terms of executing, setting clear goals, executing them, partnering with business, with institutions, with different stakeholders, and we still, of course, have the goals as a goals, empowering young people. That's not a doubt at all. However, in a very business manner. So I don't.
So you
really
take the best of both worlds in a way.
I would say yes. Maybe because the main angles through which we support young people are indeed entrepreneurship, financial literacy, career readiness. So these are very much work-related, business-related topics. Maybe this is one reason. But on the other hand, it's already second year in a row, and Junior Achievement worldwide receives the nomination for World Prize, Nobel Prize Award,
Nice.
which is here to like confirm something and the quality of.
I have forgotten something when we first met and we're discussing GA and what's your role in there nationally and how you're trying to connect this also into the Brussels work. But my husband actually, when he was young, many years ago, he got an award by Junior Achievement for a project. Yeah, so I think it was maybe 2015, or it was really long time ago. I don't remember.
But that's great.
But he got something for when he was doing a project for community gardening.
Okay.
And it was a business idea how you can have youngsters from marginalized communities start with their gardening experience, and then if they're school dropouts, that can help them reintegrate into the community, and they can also help them have an actual job even when they're still under 18. So it's not a profession, but it's something as a summer job that they can. So he crafted something, I'm not sure exactly what, but he was nationally one of the people that got a prize on that, and that's
awesome. And now I'm trying now to remember, because in 2015 I was part of the team in GA Bulgaria. So maybe if you give me some like a bit more hints, like the name of the company and so on. There are too many, of course, to know all of them. But I might happen to remember actually physically this team and this project.
But it's nice because I remember that when he was starting that idea, he was really trying to draft different things and to create these kind of bridges between different industries, between different social problems. And I think you guys were the first one to actually say this is a good idea, go with it. And he actually went with it, and it was functioning for a while. So it's good to have recognition from.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But what is great, maybe indeed Junior Achievement as network embeds, practice what you preach, as they say, but this mindset of agency, of taking the responsibility of your own success, if you wish, because even for success, it's not that easy to take responsibility, to take the agency.
Of course.
And executing it in a way that you also support the communities or the environment around you. That's very much related also to what coaching is about and what systemic thinking is about. And in this sense, maybe for me, at least, it's one and the same picture and different parts of it, or puzzle, if you wish.
Yeah, it is. Well, you started already to open the doors towards coaching. Let's start. I'm very interested in this whole world of coaching. I must say that myself, I've been tempted a couple of times to maybe go into the coaching role myself, but I think I'm still too opinionated for it. I consider myself not matured enough to do that with other people. So I would rather be this friend who coaches you, but like in a really tough way, rather than an actual coach who would do that professionally, because I think I'm not there yet in my own development. So can you tell me a bit more on how you decided to go into coaching at all, and what were the steps that you took?
That's a funny story, because actually I first, in a way, denied this opportunity.
Okay.
I was back then still in the team of GA Bulgaria, and it was quite heavy moment in terms of a lot of work, overwhelm, and receiving this opportunity to have a scholarship with business volunteers of Junior Achievement, Intunity coaches who run that awesome program in Bulgaria at that time. I first said, okay, that's great, but it's
not
too
now.
much. Not now. Maybe in 3 years or something. But then you have something. It starts ticking and just doing the work, the job for you. And I called another business volunteer in the network who was already enrolled in their program and graduated as a coach. Lechezar Africanov, a friend and colleague with whom we closely work now since then. And he told me something like that this was the most transformative experience in his life, putting all the education and without underestimating all the educational things that we have gone through. So after hearing something like this, you don't just say, nah, next time.
In 3 years, maybe.
In 3 years, maybe. So you just go for it. So I'm very happy and grateful for this. And probably this is one of the things, nothing is just by chance and hazardedly happens. And I had like gone through this program. It was like quite intense indeed. But then I kept reading, started doing some peer coaching. And maybe 2 years after the course, I already decided to embark on a real coaching journey. And what I did, it was in 2019, before COVID.
Everything now has,
I
pre-COVID or after COVID.
Exactly. I actually announced myself in the network. There was this Facebook group, freelancers or something, and I just said, "Hey guys, I'm here to embark on a coaching journey. I am already graduated coach, and I want to offer to 5 people." 3 coaching sessions, each cost €1, because the idea was still to have some, exchange, but not to be for free. And since then and always, I hate the word for free. When you say something, I don't do free event. I do complimentary event, and you are welcome to join. But it's not for free. My job and my intention and my work is not for free. And nobody should be. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is, yeah. So actually 50 people replied. There was very, very low level of some, like, hatred speech or some those comments. People actually reacted very positively, and it was funny. One of the people that I started working then, she, many years afterwards, she remained a client of mine, confessed and like disclosed that actually she wanted to, in a way, make laugh at me, because she find coaching to be like very just not respected enough, let's say.
Oh, so she was humoring the way that just to join you in
Exactly,
a way. Okay.
Exactly. But what happened, and she actually said this many years after, that she, in a way, was turned around. She got her progress, and actually she remained a client of mine for a long time afterwards.
But I think that this switch that you just introduced to us about the free events or the complementary events and all of that, I have a conversation that I would always remember with a friend of mine who does, he's into the youth work field.
Yeah.
So with him, we've always discussed that a lot of the youth events are for free. And this is because a lot of times, for example, if you're a student, even in university or in high school, you don't really have free funds for events.
Accessible.
So yeah, accessibility wise, it's good to be free, but he also hates the word free, like this whole approach to things being free. And he always says, you have to think that this is not free because somebody paid for it. And I think that you have to also remember that if something is introduced to you as a free thing, you have to consider I'm paying with my time, I'm paying with my mind, and I really have to cherish those two things, because these are your resources for life, your mind, your brain, your time. These are things that you cannot also spend irresponsibly. So I think that this is a very important, it's a horizontal mark within your career to think of yourself, I'm not doing 3 things, I'm doing things which are giving me something, and they're giving others as well something else.
Exactly. I absolutely 100% agree, and this is the way I see it. Sometimes you have, for example, for funding from a project, and you can have the event, or you are just starting out your career and you want to
be paid by exposure.
Or yes, exactly. Some people to see what you do. These are ways, but it's again not for free. They pay with attention, you pay with your time to prepare the thing.
Tell me now, I want to try to define what coaching is, because I think it's from these, I like to say that in this podcast, we'll also try to dissect complicated words, which people use and abuse sometimes wrongly. And I've tried to do that with like democracy, human rights, but with coaching, I believe that people also do that, because you have a lot of people who just do a very short course, and then they'll say, well, I'm coaching now.
Or they then don't do a course at all.
Yeah, because they feel that they're a very good role model, maybe, and they could be. I'm not saying that they aren't, but how is coaching different from therapy? How is coaching different from like what I do with my friends? I don't coach them, like I mentor them. I'm in the process of giving advices all the time and not following them myself. So how is coaching different from all of that?
What was really nice and funny to see, because you sent me a few questions in advance, and one of it was those around what coaching is and how it differs. And the first thing you put then was from friendship. And I said, oh my God, I have been asked thousands times so far, like how coaching is different from therapy, from mentoring. Okay, but from friendship. That's an interesting angle
No,
also
because
to
if you
see.
want to be a good friend, you try to guide your friends towards like the good decisions. So
In coaching, this is the thing. In coaching, you don't guide people to anything. You support their thinking process. I see myself as a thinking partner. So coaching, if we want to open the book of International Coaching Federation, let's say, they would say, and they say that this is a process for unleashing someone's potential through provocative partnership thinking process, which happens in a partnership. So partnership is very like the basic line for coaching. We are partners in coaching. I don't know more than you, and you have the agency of what you want to achieve. I'm here to be your mirror and your thinking partner.
that's great. That's a very good definition and very comprehensive as well.
Exactly. And how coaching is different from friendship? Well, after becoming a coach myself, I actually, in a way, stopped giving advice to my friends, for example. Why? Because we give advice from the place of either our hopes or fears, but that's our perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
true.
We don't know what would work best for someone. We might think, especially as parents, it's very easy to know what is best for your children. But even for them, you cannot be 100% sure that you push them into the right direction. So stepping back, and in the words of a colleague and friend, I may say already, Milena Nikolic from Coaching Center, we have a great project with them. Not knowing first, not knowing better, is very much embodies the coaching mindset. And how is different from friendship? As I said, I might think what is best for you, but it will reflect my own hopes or fears. How is different from therapy? In coaching, we don't go into past. Unless we go into the past only for picking up a good example of how you already achieved in something and can you maybe replicate it. So simply put, this is the difference with therapy. Coaching takes you from where you are and moves you forward. This is the concept of coaching. How is different from mentoring? Coaching moves you forward, but not necessarily with the wisdom of the mentor. A mentor would give you advice. A mentor is expected to be an expert more or less in the area that mentors you. Whereas I can well coach someone from the mining industry. I have no idea about it, but I don't have to.
You use their wisdom, the wisdom that they already have.
Exactly. I create a process, I create a space, call it, for the person to reveal their thinking, to have their own aha and insight moments, and to move forward the way and the pace that is suitable for them. This is what I love about coaching. I don't find and think that coaching is, my religion or something. And even I say that I support people and organizations through coaching, mentoring, consulting. So coaching is one of the hats I wear. But this is what I like about it, this agency that gives to the other person.
There is a sense of independence and a sense of trust in what you're explaining. I had a very brief experience with a coach twice. So first, it was last year as a part of a feminist leadership workshop, and I worked with two inspiring trainers and coaches, and with one of her, with Angela Philip. And Angela will be a guest on this podcast in mid-December.
Great.
And she's one of the most inspiring people I've seen, and also one of the most helpful relations I've had in my life, period. I've never had the things with her. After meetings, I had such clarity. And it was exactly based on that. You would not really get told what to do with. I think a lot of people perceive coaching as, so you have a meeting and somebody tells you this is what you need to do.
No, they sometimes even clients expect you to give them direction. But what you think? But what is your opinion? How my opinion would be useful here? Or you just bounce back this and support the person to come with their own insight. That's beautiful what you share about your coach.
It is. And I've had all of the meetings I've had with her, apart this clarity, I always had some very concrete things in my head that I had to go with after the meetings. And one of those things, so I was on the urge, I was quite clearly burnt out after some really tense times and at work, and I spoke with her and I said, I don't know how to do this anymore. Like I feel guilty that I don't have enough time for my children. I don't think like I'm a good partner to my husband. I don't think I'm giving enough to how I would like to have the world around me. I don't have enough time for my friends. I think I can be more in my job that I'm doing right now. And I just feel like I'm failing absolutely everything that I'm doing 24/7 constantly. And what we had with her, we did a metaphor of an orange and a juicer. And I said that I feel like I'm being juiced. I have literally zero energy left in me. And I just feel I've been juiced totally. You know how if you have a fruit press, yes. And the peels that are left over. You said, well, you know what? You don't have to see yourself as the next fruit, but you have to not see the juicer there. You have to think of yourself as a tree. Yeah. And this tree produces more and more fruits. And at the end of the day, even if some of them are juiced, then you go and you turn to the other one. And to me, that I know it's a very philosophical way of seeing yourself and your energy levels and all of that, but it's really helpful.
The metaphors are such an abundance. I love working as well with metaphors, and I bet that this metaphor for the orange started from you. It came from you in a way, and then your coach probably picked it up and helped you to unfold it further. No, that's a beautiful way, because for us, then you can even use this NLP technique. Let's say afterwards, having an orange. In your purse, if you wish, in your backpack, for example, and it already can anchor you for moving forward and feeling better.
Tell me more about the NLP. I've read a few things, and it seems borderline like magical things doing with your nervous system. So what's the easy way to understand NLP? What does it stand for? Let's start from the start.
I'm an NLP practitioner, but it was like one of the first things to learn in the growth and development, self-growth and development area very, very many years ago. And at first I was actually a bit resistant to the fact that NLP back then, because it was like 2010, 7, 8 when I got this opportunity and went through this course, that NLP is a way to manipulate people, like techniques, how to manipulate people so you can achieve more in negotiation or in business or in sales. And oh my God, that's awful.
You don't want to manipulate anyone into anything.
Exactly. And no need for this. And it's anyway, manipulation techniques and manipulation might happen, and it happens in the world, but this is so temporary. I mean, this is not something that can last.
You can't sustain a manipulation profile consistently. You have to,
Apart from that, I find it an awful thing.
It's unethical,
Apart that it's unethical, and I find it an awful behavior, I also don't think it's sustainable and it can last. So, but NLP actually comes from psychotherapy, from psychiatry. It's connected also to hypnosis in a way, could be. I mean, so I'm definitely not an expert to explain what NLP is. But what I use from NLP are simple techniques like the anchoring, as I said, and like ways we can move forward on a stressful situation without after recognizing that this is not a situation that needs therapy, for example. But just as a human beings going through everyday stress, there are simple techniques and things that we can do so to help ourselves contain and move forward. And NLP, a bit, some of the techniques and concepts touch to also something what I already like is that it touch base with the systemic thinking, the constellations as a concept, and those are different sources.
You take what you need.
You can take what you need to move forward, but always with this perspective and from the place of integrity, ethics, and really supporting the person, checking with them how they see they want to be supported.
And no, when the first time I heard or read about NLP, I also had the same reaction that it's good to know that, but this all seems quite unethical to me.
Yeah.
And then I challenged a very good trainer. I think she also went into coaching later on, Marionella. And I talked to her and I said, I'm really not sure I'll be okay to use any of those things, because I'm not sure that I would like be able to sleep okay at night knowing that I manipulated somebody into that. And she told me, well, you can know this and not use it, and you can know this and use it, first of all. But what you need to know is that a lot of people know that and they use it on you.
Exactly.
So at least you have to be informed and recognize that. And, I've actually seen people use it on me. And knowing NLP, for example, knowing these emotional strings, these manipulative strings, like the pride, the anger, all of those things, just knowing that this is there and to be able to reflect within you what triggers you, you take the power away from people trying to NLP you, if I can use that. So that's also very useful.
One very popular and simple technique that comes from NLP indeed is this mirroring. For example, we have now a conversation in which I ideally want to sell something to you, and then I literally take the posture that you have.
Yeah.
But what is interesting for me is checking with the timing. I started checking with myself, with whom actually I feel comfortable, because this is something that happens also authentically and naturally when you just have a good match and bond with this person. And it's just happened that you both relax in a way. And when it is a natural process, for me, it's already a signal that I might
Things
have
are
a
going
good match and good like collaboration with this person.
Yeah.
But apart from it, I'm also question a bit the usage at all.
I think that it's up for you to be informed and to know that these things exist. And I must say that to me, the one time I have really seen somebody systemically do that in a work environment, to me, that was also a sign that maybe we're not on the same page ethically, because that's also a very good sign to know that, that's something is not okay there. If we are all in a shared space where we trust each other. So in a way where trust means that I will not try to manipulate you in something else. If I have the right arguments and if it's a good outcome for all of us, we go this way. But then if I catch somebody trying to put me in a context where I'm vulnerable and they know that and they use it in order for me to be put in another position which serves them better, that's also a good sign to know, right?
True.
Yeah.
This is how I see things as well.
Okay, well, we have the different elements of you being into coaching, your background in junior achievement, your background in media and communication. And now you're in a position to support organizations and leaders into their transformative journeys. Let's call it, even though this is such a cliche, transformative journey. But how do you start when, I would say, leaders, many times they're used to giving advices and like being in charge. So how do you make them trust you in order to receive advice from you, or to be engaged into this soundboarding process, or to trust you enough to spend their time with you at all?
I would say that trust is something that you don't earn it. It happens if there is reason for it to happen. And about advising, I would say that no matter our cultural background, our societies, especially the like Western, but also Eastern Europe, I mean, Balkans, Eastern Europe, but also here, this part of Western Europe, we all are in a way raised to feel and to be appreciated when we know the answer. I mean, these are the ways we receive recognition at school, for example. So even if we don't have the marks like 3, 4, 5, 6, or we have just percentage, or even yes, no, we usually are awarded when we know the answer. So I think that this is something that ingrains in a way in our minds, this feeling that we create value when we know the answer. Hence, from there, especially in a managerial or leadership position, people think that they should have the answer, and of course they should tell those answer, like the right answer, to their teammates or to impress their bosses, because everyone has in a position a boss.
Everyone has a boss.
Everyone has a boss, even when they are a boss. Exactly. Even the boss has to impress the board of directors, let's say. So this is first thing I believe, and we often have as a discussion with leaders, with people in managerial position or in team setting. And then from there, it's a process of just showing them, if it's a team coaching or if it's a facilitation, we would have then the conversation, we would have like a small training, for example, like me introducing those concepts. If it's a coaching, if it's a one-on-one coaching, it just happens within the process. We work on a particular goal. But in a way, having first the sneak peek and just entering into the what coaching mindset and what other opportunity there is, and how you actually empower people by giving them opportunity to even make a mistake, creating this psychological safety, another cliche very much in currency these days, but actually very important. They by themselves start to rethink what are a good ways to lead people and what leadership at the end means. Because leadership is, and this is very beautiful revelation I have almost always when I work with leaders, this moment when they reconfirm or realize, I'm not saying that they always realize it only thanks to the work with me, but just reconfirming for themselves and in our conversations that leadership is not about you or about them in this sense, but it's about supporting others to move forward as well and to learn and to teach.
That's very important. You know, in one of my previous position, I was working with a manager who I was supporting. So I was a director, and then he was a very young manager. And for him, it was really transformative to switch from the mindset of an employee to a manager. And eventually, in one of our one-on-ones, he said, I finally understand that my success now is their success, which is bittersweet though, because you're losing the power over your own success. Because of course, if there is a team win, at the end of the day, you don't go and say, yeah, look who's the manager, I did it. You say, we as the team did it, which is the truth. But then it takes away a bit of your ego that you have to give it away in order for your team to feel as a winner, which is great. And I remember our conversation. I was like, yeah, I know it's great, and then it sucks. And he says, yeah, because I'm used to being the individual who gets the praise because I'm such an overachiever and I like to be a winner. And now I'm losing that, but I'm also winning in another way. So it's a switch that you need to.
It's a switch of perspective. This is something that is very magical in this field. Let's say switching your perspective, taking aside from a distance when needed, zooming in and zooming out, and just seeing things from a different angle. As we joked just before the start of the interview, success is failure seen from the bright side, isn't it?
Yes,
it's a learning.
It's a good change of perspective to see failure as success, but not recognized yet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that I'm interested now from leadership to go maybe more in depth of political leadership. And Brussels is the mecca of political leadership because a lot of organizations, institutions, agencies are located in here. And when it comes to European decision making, I think that there are a lot of good things to recognize, that there is a lot of good leaders, really authentic leaders who preach who actually do what they preach. But then there is also this really, I would say, disappointments in leadership. And I'm not talking only about the political parties, but also when it comes to civil society, sometimes we see lack of representation, short-sightedness when it comes to taking decisions. And I'm really interested to hear your experience with leaders when it comes to, if you have to generalize, what would be the top 3 or top 5 leadership skills that you see as a good signs of leadership, or let's say the opposite of red flags when it comes to leadership?
5 signs should be humility, should be this growth mindset, because no matter how successful you are, you always have areas where you are not there yet. This is the growth mindset. I'm not there yet. I'm doing my progress. Okay. We're all work in progress. So humility, this growth mindset, seeing the potential in others, really seeing the potential and overcoming your own ego. It's inner work. We all can do it, or none of us can do it. I mean, both is valid and true. It's inner work, but seeing the potential of others and letting this potential evolve and manifest and shine and do the change even for which you work, for example. And in this sense, maybe the 4th one would be, a great leader is someone who is also a great follower. So recognizing that the end goal, even it's a goal in progress, is actually bigger than you, and just like paying it forward, so someone else can then take the
Continue,
lead and you then become follower. Knowing when and what you have to follow and when to lead is a great wisdom. And the practical business way of thinking, but not forgetting like all stakeholders, maybe the systemic thinking, business thinking, wearing the systemic perspective is a great feature of the great leaders. It's very easy now, me and you, to sit here, drink a tea, and talk about true leadership. Well, true leadership is on the line. True leadership on the line is very much on the leadership under pressure. Not an easy job. But being able to switch gears and that's why empowering those around you is very, very important in the leadership work, because you cannot do everything by yourself, and you shouldn't. So this moment of switching gears and giving the chance others to do the work when you are not available or you are not able is
maybe where you shouldn't be sometimes.
And this is where you put the goal and the process above your own like ego or success or even the success of your team.
It's very interesting for me that you started with humility, because I think that honestly that's the most forgotten thing when it comes to leadership. If me as an observant, I have to just make marks in many cases, humility is even perceived as the opposite of what leadership is. Like you need to be strong, you need to be resilient, and that somehow doesn't even imply that you cannot be humble and that there shouldn't be any humility, but it's always pushed aside. So why did you start with humility?
Humility and humbling doesn't mean winning and complaining and being weak. Humility and humbleness in leadership are actually authentic and natural processes that come with maturity.
Okay.
Or at least this is what I have seen in leaders, and especially in the team's dynamics. This moment of shifting in roles and letting everyone be instrumental for the process, or like for the goal you have as a team, for example, with their own strengths. And sometimes we have here the strength of the introvert, the strength of the silent observer, but knowing when to include other members or other strengths of the team comes also with a certain level of this humbleness and humility. Plus,
like
humility and humbleness comes also with this tranquility and calmness of mind. You cannot really see through muddy waters.
Yeah.
So to see things clear, so action happens when waters are moving, and then you cannot really see well. So being humble, staying calm in the mid of crisis, but I don't mean here being inactive or passive when you have to act, but more like letting the things to emerge, and from there to see how you can support what is going on using the strengths of everyone around, of the stakeholders. Again, the systemic perspective is where maturity comes, and not all of the leaders reach this level.
Not all of them try to reach those levels as well.
Maybe not all of them were exposed to the opportunity to see that there is such level.
Yeah,
as well.
I think that one of my favorite quotes about self-reflection, emotional maturity, and all of this is that the biggest lie about self-reflection is that you're doing it. So a lot of people are just, I'm very like, I'm in therapy, so I'm progressing, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But if you're doing it on a really shallow level and you're just talking all the time about it, it's not really helpful at all.
No, humor is a great thing actually to add to self-reflection.
Okay.
Yesterday I read something on the social media which was great. This cliche of when one window closes, another opens.
Yeah.
And then second row is, apart from that, it's a very good car.
Okay. Yeah.
So having this shift in the perspective through humor is also something that just release the tension and like help you to restart in a way the thinking, the process, and not to take yourself too much seriously.
Humor has been a saver for me in many situations, and I must say I really agree with you, and I agree with you, Liz, very, very strongly. Now, if we have to make transition between leadership and management, because this is also something that in the EU bubble, I think many people are in positions to be seen as leaders, and what is not seen and what is left behind the curtains, that they actually have to be amazing managers as well in order to manage what is happening in their agency, institution, organization, whatever. Because in order for them to be good leaders, that's one set of skills, but then a good manager actually requires different set of skills. So can you maybe be helpful for me and the listeners as well, and make these top 5 skills and competences also for the managers?
I can try.
Okay.
First thing that comes is that they both are needed in an organization, and either also on political perspective or whatever context you put. The leader is the visionary, but we always need the manager who makes things clear for the team, for the people, who has to do the job together with them. And maybe we can even put some reflection towards leader as the coach and manager as the mentor, because sometimes we can mistaken in organizations someone trying to be leader and through leadership to teach the fish how to fly.
Yeah.
But actually moving through the water might be fish's
Good enough.
Exactly. This is the way a fish flies. For us it's fish swimming.
Yeah.
But here comes the mentor or the manager, who indeed is an expert in what you also do, can teach you some lessons, and creates the environment of equity, of everyone doing their part of the job. So we all, in a way, as a symphony, sound like a good orchestra. But what would be the good 5 top qualities of a good manager, you ask? Not of a good leader, but of a good manager. Consistency comes as first. Experience, or if not experience, because there might be a situation, and I have such clients who become managers without really having a lot of experience themselves, like at the age of 25. But then you have to have the learning mindset, like the beginner mindset, but in a good way, not in the sense, oh, I don't know anything, you have to teach me to help me to become a manager, but in the sense of yes, I'm here together, guys, with you to learn. So honesty also come here. What were the other 2 that I...
So consistency,
experience or learning mindset, because he might or she might be a manager without being really experienced in what they do. And what else? What would you add here?
I would add maybe things related to organizational skills, like just the pure, but it's also part of the learning mindset or the experience. But I would say it's very important to understand how human employees function, that sometimes this is not a machine and you cannot just pressure deadlines, and their ups and downs. And especially when it comes to the civil society, there are sometimes period with a lot of deadlines, especially if you do project work, and there are periods which are you're less productive, and that is actually fine, and you don't need to fix that. So I would say organizational skills, but with a human dimension in it, if that makes sense. And then maybe what else? Well, you have to have empathy, so you have to be understanding.
It maybe goes to, for me at least, goes to this honesty in terms of being fair to everyone. This is very important if you are manager. Otherwise, supporting you are also human. You are biased for sure. You would like some of your teammates more than others, but you have to make sure that you are fair to everyone if you want to be like remembered as a good manager, and eventually.
And if you want to have results, I think as well, because people understand if you have favorites, and people understand if you're not doing your job correct, and even if you're a manager, that is up for debate. And I think that creating, I'm not sure if this is more into the leadership shoes or in the management shoes, but I would rather say it's an organizational value, and both of those people should have it: the sense of accountability, the sense of transparency and honesty. To me, this all creates your authentic self as a leader and as a manager. And if you lack that, I think that that's very visible for the people, and it triggers a lot of questions, especially if you're in a human rights based context. Because how can you be this leader, this flagman of change, if you yourself are not being accountable for the decisions or the mistakes that you do?
Yeah, and maybe also being not just good but great translator of what's going on the operational level, on the field, your managerial level, and then you have also the leadership level, or you might have also even like board of directors.
Because being a bridge.
Being the bridge, and indeed being the bridge, because I did have such situations both in team coaching and in individual coaching where I see people, they struggle and they literally want to skip the level of their direct manager, of the person who they are direct report to, for reasons that they are not fair enough to them in this particular situation, or they don't feel. Also, maybe you have to also be able to translating also yourself to your team, so explaining why
we're doing that and why it needs to be. That for sure is a problem, especially if you have a large organization. You're doing a lot of strategy work, so a lot of political work, but you have the everyday tasks that come with the job. Well, we have an impossible list to fill. So there's a lot of work for coaches now to coach people into doing this impossible set. I want to add actually one more thing, which is directly leading to, our shout out of the day. I have two brands this time that I'm shouting out. I think that a leader and a manager, especially in the EU bubble, has to have a good understanding of equality, of human rights, and a fair-based society, whatever that means in your context. If you're in agriculture, if you're in climate, in disability, in gender equality, whatever that is, you have to have understanding if you're working in policy of equality. And I think a good way of doing that, apart from being coached by Svetoslava, is to invest time of yourself and your team in different ways of enhancing that. And one way of doing that is Barabar. So this is the board game which supports you into your learning transformative journey of human rights. This is how the box look. It's a very interesting game where you're challenged, you face different world problems. And I would just say the most abstract ones, because the other ones are too realistic. So the game was done before the pandemic. So for example, a pandemic is one of the challenges, but all the others are too abstract, I promise. So let's say zombie apocalypse, and you have to choose different people that help you to save the world, different clans. So you have activists, you have people from the business, you have historical figures. But for example, you can team up with, let's say, Emma Watson, Frida Kahlo, and Nikola Tesla, and you can fight the zombies or giant spiders or all of that. It's great fun for a team building activity, and it's also a great gift for the upcoming holidays. And it's also a great way for you to understand the world of human rights. It's produced back at home in Bulgaria, Barabar, and you can follow the link down below to order it so it can be part of your human rights journey. The second thing that I want to shout out today, and that's also a gift for you after the recording. So the Social Tea House is launching their new Christmas campaign, where if you order chocolate or tea, and it's not even scripted, but this is my last chocolate and this is my last tea.
I will have the last chocolate and I'm drinking the last tea. Now I feel like a very bad person.
No, but it's a very funny thing, because our Christmas products are launching and you can order them soon, but I still haven't got them yet. So shout out to the Social Tea House and their products. Everything that you get from there for your Christmas list supports the cause of the Social Tea House, which is mentoring young people without parents and supporting them for their first employment back at home, back in Varna. The chocolate that you're getting is cinnamon and orange, so that's for you. I hope you enjoy it. And
I already
a lot of
like
Christmas
it feels
spirit.
already like Christmas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me the space to shout out those brands. And if you want your brand to be shout outed here, please let me know. Write me down below In the meantime, barabar.eu and the socialteahouse.bg are waiting for your Christmas orders. So we added to the list of what we expect from leaders. We expect them to be aware of social change, to be aware of how they operate, I would say, in different levels. So now we go back, I would say we go back to the EU bubble, because I'm interested. We started a bit to dig in deeper in the EU bubble leadership, but a couple of years ago, I listened to an HR, a Croatian guy, who was doing a lecture on growth, like career growth, and how geographically sometimes people are meant to not reach certain position because they come from a certain region of the world. And it was a very deep dive into Balkan history and how he sees a lot of Balkan people going to mid-management positions, but not to executive positions. And it made me question, and I reflected a lot. I've seen a lot of Balkan people coming from the Balkans into top executive positions, but most of them are indeed into mid-management. And he had an explanation. So one of the explanation was about the nature of proverbs, for example, the lack of religion in the region for a couple of decades, and the presence of communism as well didn't have, because communism is not really showcasing a good, transparent way of growth and career development, unfortunately. And then also the last thing that he said is that sometimes he feels like people don't believe in themselves enough. So I want to ask on your observations on the EU bubbles, and maybe just to elaborate a bit on this, all of those theses that I shared now.
I don't have at hand like some, study survey on how many people made it to C-level positions, but I had an interesting observation a couple of months ago as part of my consultancy work with Junior Achievement here in Europe, here in Brussels, the J Europe team. Together with the team, I had to go through all of the applications for the Gen E Festival. This is the annual competition of J Europe. So those are like literally 1,000 teams.
Okay.
And then I also participated in part of the interviews with the juries, and in 3 different interviews with teams. I think it was like team from North Macedonia, from Serbia, not sure which is the third. Might be Bulgarian, not sure. But different jury members referred to they called it like different words, same meaning. And it was like a compliment, the typical post-Soviet discipline that people from this part of the world like employing what they do.
It hurts my heart when I hear that. Elaborate, how is that positive?
No, in a way it was, as I said, not literally with these words and not posing on the team or something, but then it was like reflection afterwards for me that I had never think of like, I myself probably have this kind of post-Soviet discipline. Maybe this is I call it love for work. I love it. I call it commitment. Yeah. I call it also responsibility, and commitment is the most. But maybe there is something in it. So I really don't have the observation of how many people do these clients that I work with are from various countries, but I wouldn't say that like prevail people from the Balkans so to know it. But what is interesting for me here in the realm of growth is no matter where you come from, to aim at something I call purposeful growth. Because growth for its sake is the cancer cell. I'm sorry for the metaphor I make. What is your reason to grow? What is that you want to grow in? Plus, I myself felt in some moments of my life that too much stretching sometimes can tear you up instead of helping you grow. So grow usually comes first with stretch. You have to, as they say, if you want to end up where you haven't been, you have to do things that you haven't done. And also in a way like more commitment, more discipline or whatever propels or fuels your success. But you have to know your own limits and your own preferences.
Yeah.
including and maybe and especially when we speak things like growth and success. Defining it, what does it mean to you, why you want to get there, and how then you will, it might sound too idealistically, but how you then with your success will help the world to make a better place. Because those things matter, especially now when we see what happens in the world, wars, conflicts. Why is our growth for? Like, you know, I'm worried and I'm thankful each evening when I serve dinner to my family because I'm able to do so.
Yeah.
So there are many mothers in the world now who cannot do this thing. So it's so my growth is already growth with purpose in terms of how can I support the processes and people around me. Of course, I cannot help the world become a better place, but I can make one step at a time with my work.
I think you can. I think you can. I mean, even the few conversations we've had with you have actually made me feel better. And in a way, I've forwarded that to other people as well. And now we're doing the same, I think. But
yeah.
I'm thinking, listening to you now, I've always questioned myself and held myself accountable when I'm in a position of power, let's put it like that. For example, I remember the first time I did it was when I was a board member of the National Youth Council of Bulgaria. I was there, I think, for 2 years. And I felt, the first time I actually felt my privilege being really, really heavy on me. Because, I mean, first of all, as a woman from Eastern Europe, the places where I feel privileged are not that many. So to feel my privilege heavy, I remember that I was really trying to question, am I actually doing the best I can in my position? Am I good enough to be in my position? And I'm not talking about this imposter syndrome. I've been there, done that, but in other contexts. And I think being accountable for your actions, for occupying public space or public position is crucial for leaders. And it's crucial to understand, also to have the mirror guided towards you and to have the mirror turned towards you and say, can you actually do more? Are you actually doing a good job? Are you being the actor that makes the world a better place? Or are you just serving yourself in this position?
Exactly. I think what would make the difference and like help every leader who questions them if they are the right person on the right position, make them have a better sleep, would be accepting your position as a role. You are in this moment in this role, and this role has to serve particular community, cause, goal. So and it's also, I would say, something that I sometimes give like an advice also to people when we talk about public speaking. You are there to share a message. You are not there your makeup or look to be evaluated.
But that's so helpful because, for example, to somebody like me,
it puts the tension out.
It puts I have zero tension in public speaking only because of that. Because I never feel I'm a tool there. It can be absolutely anyone else. And I've also done so many public speaking gigs. The only time I've actually felt nervous is when I'm in this format of like, share your own story. And I'm like, I don't want to, I can't, I'm failing, it's horrible, I want to get out, I want to run. But every time when I have to go on behalf of a network, of an organization, of anything that I'm just embodying this certain role for today, for now, for this month, for this year, I'm a tool. I'm literally the cable that the signal goes through, and I don't care at all how I will be perceived, because I know that that's not the important part. But that takes, I think, really, again, a switch. So it's not you that is being seen, it's the message that's being seen.
And by the way, this is the way women negotiate best for themselves, by negotiating for others. Literally, when you put in your, like, for your head in the beginning, in your thoughts, that you would like to have this promotion because you want to achieve more, even financially, for your family, or you will be able to do this or that for your team, it already makes easier things for women. There is this study as well, which is funny to know.
Funnily enough, we are recording on November 15, which is the European Day for Equal Pay. So, I mean, a good bridge for that. I wasn't planning to mention that, but I think that it's also a very good thing to know that our listeners need to know that the gender pay gap still is something that happens throughout Europe. There's many studies that unfortunately prove that. And if we want to have a good good leadership network and good leaders systems, we need to not have that anymore, I think. Okay, well, I'm going more or less towards the wrapping up of the conversation, and I want to ask you more about the cultural identity of each of us and how that bridges into our leadership styles. Because again, going back to these top 5 lists, I think that we've created a very interesting and very ambitious goal for nowadays leaders. But what part of me as a leader is actually my own identity that I need to reshape or I need to use certain parts of it? So how is our identity linked to our leadership styles?
Fully.
Fully, okay.
Next question.
Why? Why can we not escape our identity, for example?
Because if we escape our identity, we escape the authenticity of we as servant leaders.
Mm-hmm.
If leadership is also a role, and it's a role of service. And if you escape your identity, and of course you shouldn't neither go too much into your identity. I mean, you are not there to present who you are and what your identity is. And even if you wish what your childhood trauma is, we all have it in a way. If you dig in the topic, you will see that you are traumatized no matter how lucky you have been with your family. I mean, it's valid for everyone in a way. But we neither should go too much in our identity, because it's from the place of ego, who am I, nor we should try to escape it, because this is what we are and who we are, and seeing it from the perspective of how this can help me and empower me to empower others and to support their journey ahead is the right place to see at the things. So the question how the identity shapes the leader, to great extent, for sure. But it's not something that you have to focus on purposefully, nor you have to avoid and escape it
So you have to know it, embrace the parts that help you grow, and be aware that the other parts is there, and just go with it.
Exactly.
I laughed a bit because, when I don't have a very rich experience of being into job interviews as an employee. I've actually been into 2 job interviews in my whole life, but I've been on the other side of the table where I interview people. And I was recently into a job interview, and it was very funny because while I was waiting on this really fancy lobby, I was listening to a random playlist, and I have one song which I listened to my previous interview, and it again was on shuffle mode, and it's a song by Evanescence. It's one of my favorite bands, and there is this line, "Let the broken pieces shine." And it was very funny because last time, literally the last song before me entering the room for the job interview was that. And I feel like it's like a message, a universal message. I know it's a very dumb thing to think of, but it's...
In a way, for you, it was. If you made it work that way, it was a message.
I did make it work. And it was very funny because now when I was like, oh, wow, I still have that song. And okay, I will let the broken pieces shine again. And it was a good interview. We'll see what happens. But it was funny that I think you have to embrace your broken pieces of your identity, and you have to make them work for you, because otherwise you cannot erase that. So you cannot erase what you have. You have to make it work for you.
And even see it as learnings, like those broken pieces. If they happen to get together again, it means that you have learning and you moved forward. Some years ago, it was one of the first times to enter like a training room as a trainer, and I was super nervous. I called my husband and I told him that I just don't think I'm in the position like to teach whoever
on
whatever. And he said, okay, why don't you focus? It was funny because, I'm the coach at home, but he said to me, why don't you focus on what you already know and build on it rather than now start thinking of everything and all that you don't know. And that also might sound like a, dummy cliche or whatever, but then it worked for me because I this is what I did, and it went absolutely great.
I love short, simple, and concise advices like this one because they
Yeah.
are, and yes, they do sound like a cliche, but they actually work. So even if they sound like
There
a
is
cliche,
reason
if it
for them
works,
to become a cliche.
I have a collection that's a bit of a embarrassing thing. I have a compilation in my phone of like 40, 50 screenshots of things like that, which are like one sentence life advice guidance.
I keep them too when I see them on social media. If I cannot download it because it's for my own usage, I just make a screen shot of the phone and I keep them as well. So
I have
I'm
it.
on the same page.
But they work for me, and I
Yeah.
don't know if because I'm very shallow or because I whatever, but they do work. And I when I'm especially if you have a very unhealthy inner voice, and sometimes I do, I like to oppose with like screenshots. So like no,
Yeah.
listen to that, listen to this. Maybe it's not as bad
Yeah.
as it seemed. Okay, well, going back to our finale of the conversation, I want to ask again. The first question is always, "How did you end up here?" And the last two questions are
When you
always,
go.
yes, no, it's not. It's not that. We still have time. The last two questions are always, "What makes you happy?" and "What makes you hopeful?" Because I like to see how people see happiness and how they define hope. And I think that we live in a really weird times. You mentioned already there's so many wars and conflicts and political unclarity, and people seem to be in a state of anxiety 24/7 and just go with it. And I think that changes the way that we live our lives and the way that we perceive others. So I like to hear how people are happy. So what makes you happy?
Small things in life are what make me happy because I, in a way, already know in my early 40s that they are the greatest things in life. For sure, it's valid for me. I just enjoy having time. And recently, I had this conversation with a client. She was like thinking on power or money is more important, and I was thinking, oh my God, for me, none of this is important. For me, time and the opportunity to create is what is important and what makes me happy. Conversation with a friend, seeing or hearing from a client or a team I have worked with some years ago, hey, after so many time or something shifted for me, or just seeing this unexpected, not the moment like at the end of the conversation and what you get from here and how you move forward, but just some things that work for them many years after because they already got the agency of doing this next time for themselves, by themselves, is literally something that makes me happy. My children make me happy. My husband make me happy. Being alive and healthy makes me happy and grateful. And actually joy is what makes me happy. So happiness for me is not the goal, but it's more like appreciating what is good in your day or in your life, in this bright side, like seeing the things from the bright side. We cannot always, of course, do that. Sometimes we need a coach, sometimes we just need a friend, or
just
think
time.
a bit, or just time, or just going a bit through what we are going to move forward and to see things from the bright side. And I like very much that you asked me about hope, but not about what makes me optimistic, because I have listened to this concept. I'm not sure. I think it stems from the positive psychology and Martin Seligman, but hope, to create hope, you need to take action. Whereas optimism is the passive it's not an action. It's the passive expectation while seeing and watching the news to say, well, things gonna be better. That's optimism. But to create hope and to feel hope, you need to take action. So what makes me hopeful is this intention to take action for myself, for people around me, to make things better one step at a time.
Nice. Well, it's been lovely to have you here. Before we close, I want to also say that there is a very practical way of people to feel in responsibility or in hope, in state of hope. And that's because of something that they can do for themselves in the beginning of December. It's a workshop that you are organizing on the 8th of December. Can you elaborate more about the how to enroll, what they can expect?
That's great. I think you can share in the info after our conversation some link for them to register. That's an event actually. That's the end and presentation of the outcome of two awesome projects that I was happy enough to be involved. One is creating these manual coaching skills for trainers, but I would say that for every specialist in learning and development, in human resources, team leaders. So through workshop, because just presenting what we have done is something that is interesting to no one but our mothers. So we will present what we have done through a brief workshop experience. And then this other project is actually a fantastic application called IU, which is like supporting us feeling well and being well through the three pillars, I would say, of the healthy awareness. Open mind, the way we think, open heart, how we process emotions, and open world, a bit of the systemic perspective and how we interact with others. So this app
Sounds
also will be launched and presented on 8th of December. It's a complimentary event because it's covered by the Erasmus Plus program, which co-funds the project.
Okay.
And we have limited spots available, but I would be happy if we have people who are interested in coaching and development to join the event.
Okay, then. Well, I will put all the links below, and I will link as well your LinkedIn profile so people can reach out if they want to experience more of what you do. It's been great to have you here. Thank you. It's been a really interesting conversation for me. I would say the outcome for me is that these conversations are maybe, I don't know how many people will find them useful, but they're very useful for me and very pleasant. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a wonderful experience for me, and I loved it. And this studio is amazing, and the tea is wonderful, and I'm sure that the chocolate will be awesome.
Thank you very much for tuning in this week, and just invest in yourself and try to discover the parts of your identity which are supporting you being involved into your purposeful growth. And yeah, don't forget to be kind to people, hug your dog, and see you next week in this cozy studio with another teapot and another interesting guest. Thank you very much. See you.